Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the YouTube Impact series. I'll be chatting with a seasoned professional with more than a decade of work experience. He has lived the layered nature of, career growth firsthand and has helped a lot of people with career advice through his media platforms and other online guides. He brings a well-rounded perspective on how to make better career decisions and avoid some of the common mistakes that can slow you down. So let's get into it.
Um, thanks for inviting me and congrats on growing your channel. I'm super happy to be here and very proud of you and your journey. So I'm delighted to be here to, be part of your success story. Yes. My name is Azodo, Nnamdi Azodo. I currently work as the group head for card business at Sterling Bank. Earlier in the year, I was at MasterCard. For the last couple of years, I was at MasterCard, where I was the manager for digital products for MasterCard West Africa. So I was covering the English-speaking West African states, Nigeria, Ghana, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and the Gambia. In the past, I had worked at a couple of Nigerian banks. I was head of products for Alert by Wema. I also worked as senior product manager at Fairmoney, Money, and a few other places. So that's the brief of my career journey, and happy to be on your channel.
You are the best person that we need to have this conversation today because you mentioned like global companies, you also mentioned companies in Nigeria. So we're hoping to have a well-rounded conversation today. So let's start from you and your personal career journey, as in you, Azodo. What's one thing you wish you had done differently or done earlier that could have made a big difference in your career? What's that one? I mean, if there are many, you can tell us, but at least what's that one thing? Let's start with that.
So we're just going straight into things I could have done. I didn't do my mistakes essentially. Okay.
Yes, personal experiences so that people, you know.
Yes, yes. Okay. I believe that I did. There's so many things I could have done better. It's been 15 years of working, so there are so many mistakes in those 15 years. But I think the thing that I could have done better or done much earlier is I didn't speak up for myself enough. I did not advocate for myself enough. I'll give you an example, something I have never shared publicly anywhere else before today. Yes. The first promotion I got in the professional world was withdrawn. So I was promoted. My first promotion, I'm super happy, called family and friends, was really very excited. 1 week later, that promotion was withdrawn. I was demoted and issued a demotion letter for things that were no fault of mine, at least in my opinion, because I've had a couple of appraisals that were super fantastic by the scores. And then my manager said, "Hey, promote this dude." My head of department said, "I concur to this position." And the appraisal review committee randomly selected people from different parts of the company, upheld that recommendation, and then the management of the company approved that uh, promotion. Seeing all of these things I've done, approved that promotion. About 2 days after or three after it was announced company wide that myself and a few other people have been promoted, and everybody was just saying hi, congrats, blah blah blah. I got somebody came to say to me to codedly to say the head of HR wants to see you. Okay, I was wondering what that could be. Then I went to see her, and she goes, "For X reason, I would have to demote you."
Wow.
And me being there and just saying, "Okay, whatever you want to do is fine. Today is not fine." That's one example of how one of the many instances where I believe I could have spoken up for myself, advocated for myself a bit more. So I think that's the thing that I wish I had done more of and done more often and done quite early in my career. I'm doing that now, but I wish I had been doing that from the beginning. And yeah, but
Mm.
I'm re
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Putting
the biggest part. But I'm really excited to see a young set of people coming into the workforce and, really speaking up for themselves. No, that's beyond boundary. Yes, I like this, I would take it, but I don't like that, and don't talk to me. Just those kind of setting. I remember a young girl that I had managed in a previous place that my first time meeting her and having one-on-one and trying to understand who she is and how she likes to work. And she gave me a list of boundaries. After so time, you don't talk to me because that's my time. Saturday afternoon, beauty nap, sometime in the evening, personal development time. This one, Sunday is for rest, and just don't speak to me. I wasn't offended. Instead, I was super impressed. Like, people are really speaking up for themselves and setting boundaries. I like it.
That's very interesting. I love that it's people of nowadays
Yes.
because I mean things have changed, so I understand that. So like the overall lesson here is advocate for yourself. Speak up, especially when things don't go the way they are supposed to go. Now, you talked about the mistake that you made. So coming from that, what are the mistakes? Like it can be general, it can be specific, but what are the common mistakes that you see professionals make when trying to grow their careers? I mean, that's why we're here today to talk about the mistakes.
Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
everything I say here is from my own experience. These are mistakes
Yes.
I've made in the past in one way or the other. And I see that pattern quite easily happening with a lot of people. I would say it's broadly two categories of mistakes that we tend to make as professionals. One is branding nothing, right? Focusing excessively on trying to have a personal brand where, at the expense of core competence.
Mm,
You are okay at your job, and then you're trying to excessively brand it. Or that's one side of the coin. That's other side of the coin. I've also seen super fantastic people, fantastic professionals, super competent guys who just believe that their job is just to be really good, do their job, earn money, go home, and just play with their kids. Well, some might want to do that, but at the end of the day, it's you're living money, reputation, opportunities on the table for not being known as this super good guy. It's not enough that you're good. You also need to be perceived as good, whether it's internally or externally. You have to be good, one. Then people have to, the people that matter at least must know that you're good. So I see two types of mistakes that we make in the professional world where some people that are not super competent focus excessively on branding. And then some people that are super competent do not really take the advantage of being known for their level of competence and anything. I see this more in at least my personal experience. A lot of the people that I've seen this happen are usually people in the tech space. I know a lot of fantastic developers, product people that just want to do their job and go home. And there's nothing wrong with it, but again, you're leaving opportunity and money on the table.
so there are two mistakes here. In fact, I would say it is one mistake, but it's just flipped.
Yes.
So you are speaking up, there's no substance, and then you're not speaking up when you have a lot of substance. So what's your own advice, especially I mean for the people that are speaking up with no substance? We already know what to advise them. Go and get substance. Now for the people
Fix
that
that.
yes, fix it. So now for the people that don't even know where to start, because that's one of the major problems. So when you tell people, oh, put yourself out there, try to make yourself known, people should know what you're doing and the good or the great work you're doing. What would you advise just briefly that they can do to start at least?
Everybody will not start a newsletter or do a podcast or run a YouTube channel. Everybody will not write a book and all of those things. But there are so many options for you to like put your hand out there and say, hey, I exist. In your own corner of the internet. It could be your personal blog that only you or one or two other persons read. Then with time, people tend to discover it. It could be just basically volunteering to be part of an internal committee internal project team, just raising your hand to say, I disagree with this. These are my reasons and these are my suggestions on how we should do it better. You have to speak up in one way or the other. You have, and it could be audio speaking up, it could be writing if you prefer that, it could be making videos if you prefer that, it could be joining the project team. It could be volunteering for a very risky project that could fail. You just have to put your hand out there and not just, punch at your keyboard. At the end of the day, you close it at 5 and then you listen to Princess advice on how to make best use of your after 9 to 5 hours. No, you just have to do something else. I used to work with a guy who was internally at the company. He's a product manager and was known for how mad Excel uh, skills that he has and how mad his PowerPoint skills are. You know that Indian level of proficiency with PowerPoint and Excel. That was what this dude had. And internally at the company, people come to him for like really super senior people come to him for help me do this. And I can tell you he gained much more than just making slides and just by doing that.
Exactly.
But somebody had to know that this guy is really good with Excel or this guy is super good with PowerPoint. And it just starts by you raising your hand, like, I can do that. Let me handle that for you. Or, if your company has a blog, volunteer to write for it if you don't want to post it on LinkedIn. If you prefer to make videos, the YouTube channel, you could start one and talk about anything that you care. But you have to find a corner of the world where you put your hand and say, I exist. For me, that
Hmm.
is newsletter. Mm.
I love that last line. Find a corner of the world where you put your hand up and say, I exist. That's just find your, I wouldn't say
Small.
niche in this case,
Mm-mm.
just find your you can do just to make sure that people can know what you do, even no matter how small it is. So if you are in this WhatsApp group of people that don't know how to how to put themselves out there, I think this advice is the best for you right now because please find a way. We need to know you, we need to know what you're doing so that we can also gain and learn from you. Stop hiding your power. Would I say power now? Stop hiding your knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just go to the very next question. In your experience, what should people consider when, switching roles or companies? You mentioned that you had worked at Red Money, you've worked at Fair Money, you've worked at MasterCard, Sterling Bank, all the banks in Nigeria. You've worked
Please
everywhere.
do.
So, in your own experience, seeing that, sometimes when people try to switch companies or, switch roles, maybe from product manager to something else, or switch from MasterCard to this other company, in your experience, what should people consider before switching roles or companies?
For every job I have, every transition I've made, whether it's internally, because I've made some internal movement as well, whether it's, changing roles within the same company or changing company or changing industries, every job I have taken, and I think every job you should take, anyone listening to us should have at least three things, should at least do three things for you: help you learn, help you earn, and then keep your mental health in a good place. Making sure that whatever job it is you're taking will help you learn, earn, and then keep your mental health in check. At the very least, you should at least achieve one of these with every any job move. So it's either you're earning, is that you're learning, or and then you're in a good mental state. I've had to take a pay cut because I wanted to leave a earning and higher earning job to a learning job. The point here is that for any of this transition you're making, it has to be based off on what you want to achieve from that job, whether you're learning, earning, and then you're in a good health status. At the end of the day, the best job will offer you all three. Most jobs will not offer you all three. So figure out what is the most important that at that point for you, for your career, and then make that move. If you are a younger person just getting into the workforce, you may want to prioritize learning over earning. However, there will be instances where you have to just take the smaller amount that really changes your life, because that supposedly smaller amounts could be 50% more more earnings for you. But the point here is that at every point in your career, just know what and the the transition you're trying to make, what is supposed to lead to earning, learning, or good health. Sometimes people take a lower paying job just to be closer to their sick loved ones, or leave money on the table because they don't like the toxicity of a place. The, you have to know what you are going for in any of those jobs. So like I said, I've made moves that were for me to learn. I've made moves that were, in fact, this particular one, I took a 40% pay cut to prioritize learning over earning. Then there's been those that I've made that, hey, this is a money move, and I'm at peace with it. And then there is also those that you just make just to, be closer to home. It allows for remote options, and you just want to be closer to, maybe you have a baby that you need to look after, or a sick elderly one. At every job you take, you just have to figure out one of these three things must be present. Two is better than one, but then all three would be the ideal states.
Yeah, I think the populous or the most popular ones are the learning and earning, but you've added mental health and I think also personal reasons, and I think that's also a big one. You mentioned something very important. You said for some people who are maybe family people and they want to be closer to their children, they may not really want that traveling job anymore. That one that, takes them to be traveling all the cities in Africa, all the cities in in the world. So yeah, I understand that's very important. And yeah, so let's talk about self-awareness in the workspace. Self-awareness in this sense would mean like you're working in a place. Are you aware of what's going on? Are you aware of what's happening in the company? Or are you just naive and you're just like, oh, I just came here to just do my work and go home? Or so in that sense, what role does self-awareness play in making better career decisions? And how can someone build that awareness over time? Like we're talking about self-awareness now. Some people don't even know that you're supposed to be self-aware and you're supposed to be like alert when you are in the workplace. If you are interested in building your career. I mean, if you just want to come and do your work and go back, no problem. But if you're interested in like building your career, you're interested in, getting promotions, you're interested in like building the ranks, there are certain things that you should be aware of. There are a lot of people that don't even know. So what role does that self-awareness play? And then for someone who maybe is even hearing this for the first time or has heard it before, but has not really taken it seriously, how can that person build that awareness over time?
You cannot overemphasize the fact that in an organization, your job is beyond your JD. You have
Mm,
to know how to exist with humans. It's not enough that you write the best codes, the cleanest codes. You need to know how to
mm,
exist with humans. You need to how to know what this person likes or what that person likes, and have to find your way and navigate. Some people call it office politics, but it's essentially being good at your job, but knowing that your job is beyond I've done my job. You need to know how to live with people. You need to know how to coexist with people. If you work with a manager who likes to be greeted every morning when you guys are
mm,
working physically in the office, go and greet him or her. You have to
mm.
be that self-aware that this is what this person likes, this is what that person. Go and greet him and knock at the door and just pop your head in and say, "Ah, boss, your perf smells nice today. What are you wearing?" This kind of stuff. Oh my, I like. Yeah, by the way, what did you say about your? Some people like to talk about their family, so you ask about their kids and what they did for Children's Day celebration. If for those who don't like it, you don't bring it up. I have the
Mhm.
belief that at the beginning of your career, especially at the beginning of your career, you have to do what you have to do, whatever that is.
Mm,
Whatever that is, you have if you have a colleague who likes dogs and you hate dogs, the colleague comes to work on Monday and saying that her dog died. You have to
mm,
really forget the fact that you hate dogs and just ask, oh, what happens? I'm so sorry about the dog. What's her name or his name? Just you have to be self-aware. And then that also leads me to saying that you have to be personally self-aware to know the things that you're not good at, and then find a way to
yes.
to to fix those things. When I joined Mastercard, I
Mm.
felt I had a good presentation skill. And then my first period there, my first few months there, I saw three people, not that they were the only people, but these three people were killing it on another level. People who would make presentation on the things you already know. They could make presentation, amazing presentation on the most bland of things. And then you love it, you like it, you just feel so excited listening to them. I went to those the three of them to say, Omo, you present so well, oh, I would really love to learn from you. So I started studying them informally, and then so for two of them I was having formal sessions, and then the other person, but all three of them I was studying informally, but two of them I was having formal one-on-one with them just to learn, because I was self-aware enough to know that even though I thought I was good, these people were on another level that I needed to unlock. So it's two things for me. You need to be self-aware to find the spots where you're not excellent at, and then find what to do to fix those ones. But then self-aware enough to know how the dynamics of the office is. Some office is just you do your stuff and close your laptop and don't really say hi to me. Some like to fraternize. You just have to do what you have to do. Excuse my French. But at the beginning of your career, you have to have the morality of a prostitute. You just have to do what you have to do.
So, like, the overarching advice here is there are two sides to self awareness. The first side is human interaction. When you join a workplace, you need to be self aware of the people that you're working with, their attitudes, what they like, what they don't like. If it's important for you to want to, thrive in that environment, it's good. Some people don't want to be greeted. There's a story about a UK guy
Mm.
who went to tell his colleague to lose weight. Why?
Away. Just
Yes,
mind your
he went
bloody
to tell.
business.
Then his friend came online to ask us to pray for his other friend. And then people were like, you are no longer in Nigeria. So you have to be self aware. Like in Nigeria, it can come as a joke. In fact, you and the person can laugh about it. But then in other climates, like you don't talk about people's weights anyhow. And then even all these, people come abroad and then maybe they ask their boss, like, when are you getting married? All those things that
Yeah.
you might ask your boss in Nigeria. And
Don't do.
it would. Exactly. You need to be self-aware, like, because this is an extra point. So let's say geographical self-awareness. When you
Yes.
leave Nigeria, another workspace, you need to understand that this is not it's not your Lagos startup or your Lagos bank where people can joke about like unnecessary stuff. There are people who have called police on their Nigerian colleagues because of how they said, oh, they flog their children or something. In their mind, they are giving them gist. But you need to be
Yes.
self-aware of where you are because people have gotten sacked because they went to go and say what they're not supposed to say. So please, guys, in human interaction, also learn how to close your mouths to say some things. If you feel that that thing is not something that they would appreciate, don't even say it at all. In fact, once you start having double mind, don't
Don't.
even say it again.
Don't.
Exactly. Say it
Don't.
again. And then the side, yeah, and then the other side of self-awareness you spoke about is the skill self-awareness. You need to know when you are not so great at something and then take steps like you did to make sure that you improve on that thing because you can leave that company. Like you mentioned, you saw people who were great at presentation. If you didn't take that opportunity to grow or to learn, you will still be at your presentation level of how when you join the company. So it's important that when you see opportunities like that, be self-aware and then take steps to improve your skills. Because you may not even know where you will meet them again. Because
Yes.
if you've left the company now, sometimes you may not contact them anymore, or maybe when you contact them, you may not even have the time. So
Yes.
please, guys, these are the two major parts of self-awareness, and I think they are very, very important.
But
So
the
now,
third one you mentioned, geographical self-awareness,
yeah, the
super key.
geographical one.
You need to know what
Yes,
is
yes,
applicable here and
exactly. Because the way we work in Nigeria, the difference is very, very clear to the way that people work in other parts of the world, especially in Europe. So please, guys. Anyway, Azodo, you've worked with startups, small companies. You worked with large companies. I mean, you worked with Mastercard. Can we go larger than that?
I mean, I'm
Anyway,
honored.
yeah. So how should someone think about choosing companies when starting their career? You know, earlier you mentioned something about learning, earning, mental health. Is that the same thing that happens here? Or like there's another way that people will think about smaller companies or larger companies? Because I've heard people say, oh, I don't want to work with startups anymore because of the stress or something. So, in your own view, talking about like how someone can choose between two types of companies, because sometimes people can have two offers and they will just pick one based on, oh, this money is higher or this one is closer to my house, like you mentioned earlier. Is there any other thing that people should think about when trying to choose between a small company or a large company?
I would say fundamentally, a small company is chaotic. A large company is super organized. So
Mm,
if you don't mind chaos, I tell people that my spirit is drawn to chaos. If you don't mind chaos, small companies would work, quite well for you, because you wake up this morning, you are doing product manager's role job. Your title is a product manager, as an example. In the morning, you are doing product manage. In the afternoon, you are fixing support tickets and you are calling customers to apologize that what happened was XYZ, and then you've done why these other things. The next minute, you're writing query to extract some data, and if you love chaos, if you're fine with chaos, not necessarily love it. If you're fine with chaos, startups will work better for you. You should be fine there. But if you like order and processes and plans and documentation, you may want to tilt towards the larger organization. So if all else is the same, but you're considering, should I, at this point in my career, should I go to a bigger company or to a smaller company? Just understand that you're moving into chaos, like super chaotic environment. You work more, you everywhere is looking, every day you're putting out fire. And if you're in a smaller company, and it's both good or bad thing, because you tend to do so many things all at once and become so many people, irrespective of your job title. But on the other side, if you value order, processes, things that are placed where they should be, bigger companies will
yeah.
would work better for you.
Mm, that's interesting. You know, some people they go to the bigger companies and they're like, no, they like the chaos because maybe it
Yes.
aligns better with their personality type.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So, yes, that's something. So that's I think what you mentioned is like the distinct difference. And sometimes people say that smaller companies, like smaller startups, especially people in booming industries, might pay better than structured companies. So they would prefer to take let's say in Naira, they prefer to take 1 million from ABC company than go to let's say a Paystack in Nigeria or a Google in like abroad
Mm-hmm.
and take a lesser amount, that kind of thing. So they're like, oh, I don't care about the names anymore. I just want the money. And that's another thing, leaning to earning. So yeah,
Yes.
that's really good. So there are a lot of people that have listened to us till this stage now. If someone is listening and they are feeling uncertain or they're even confused, like they in their career, if their career is a pot, there's a lot of things inside that pot.
Happening
It's
inside.
just yes, a lot of things are happening. What's one small step that they can take, especially maybe today, this week, this month, to start making better career choices?
If you're When I'm confused, right? None of all of these career decisions I've made were not certain. I don't know for certainty that it was going to work out, but I approach it from the angle that I'm traveling to a very far distance. The confusion is
Mm,
happening because I want to sit here, put on my headlamp, and see to my destination. It will never happen.
mm,
I typically will just see the as far as I can see and then start driving. As I get closer, I know my headlamp will show me the next 200 meters or whatever that is. And then as I go on and go on, it becomes clearer. I don't believe that you
mm,
will have 100% certainty on any major decision. You have to see as far as you can see and then make the move as you go along. The road will open up. The way
mm,
that's generally how I look at it, because and then this is me saying that for me, most times when I'm confused or uncertain about anything, I do. So when I'm in doubt, I do. I just get doing something. That's the best way I know how to clear these doubts. If I'm not certain if I want to still stay in this company, I start interviewing. If I'm not certain if I want to remain at this job, I start looking out. Whatever you face doubts, you just have to start doing. If I'm not certain I still want to be in this role, I start speaking to people internally in the same company saying what's out there. So whenever I'm in doubts, I tend to do. Uh, Again, like I said, there's no major career decision you make where you have 100% certainty. So just learn to, as you drive, the road will open up, and then you go further and further. So that's my point. And most things in
Mm.
most career decisions are reversible. It's not that deep. It's not.
Yeah, yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it when you talk about how no matter where you are right now, as far as you're feeling confusion around a certain thing, start doing something around that. So let's say people are thinking, oh, should I be a software engineer? Start asking software engineers
Yes.
questions. Like
Yes.
just start doing something around it, because as you keep getting more information, it would help you to give you more clarity, and you can now even understand what the software engineering is about. And if it's even too much for you, you can say, ah, I'm not doing again. There are some people who
Simple.
have tried, they're like they're not doing again. So instead of being in that your confused state and just staying there and wondering, oh, what will I do with my life right now, start asking questions. Like Azoda has mentioned, start doing. So if you feel, oh, I don't know if I should still continue in my job, just start applying first while you are still in your confusion. I think,
Yes.
as you said, when you're driving, the headlamp would show you what's just right in front of you. As you move forward, take it small, small, small at a time. So I think that's like overarching advice, and that's a great one. Thank you so much. So today we've talked about so many things. Like Azodo has shared, the first thing that he shared with us today was the mistake he made. He talked about like advocating for yourself because it would really, really help you. We also talked about the common mistakes that we've seen that professionals make these days. Some people are speaking up when they have no substance, and then some people who have substance don't know how to speak up or have not been speaking up. And then he talked about learning, earning, and checking your mental health when trying to switch companies or switch roles. Are you learning on the job? Are you earning in that job? And how's your mental health? You need to check those things. And also, when we talked about self-awareness, talked about self-awareness with human interaction in the office, understanding people. We talked about self-awareness with like upskilling, know where you are and know what you need to do to improve your skills. We also talked about self-awareness in terms of geographical location. When you move to a new country, understand how things work in that country, and don't put yourself in trouble. And then we talked about like the chaos of a small startup, the structures of a large startup, or a large organization, and then seeing how you can choose between these companies and choose what's best for you. So, finally, what we just talked about now. When you're feeling confused, just look at the very next thing you need to do. In that state of confusion, just start asking questions, start doing some research and getting your answers. So that's about like the high level takeaways from our discussion today. And while this is for the audience, I'm also learning and I'm also taking notes. So thank you so much, Azodo, for coming on the series and sharing your knowledge. This was really, really insightful. And guys, Azodo does other things aside from, product management and being the group head. So Azodo, do you want to take some time to talk about other things that you do? And then if you want the listeners to take any kind of action, just let us know.
Um, thank First of all, again, thank you for inviting me. It's been really very conversational, and I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed talking to you as always. So thank you for having me on your show. Uh, I write a newsletter where I write about some of the things I wish I had known at the start of my career. So maybe we can put a link to it or something. I write a newsletter on Substack read by about 3,500 professionals like you, where I talk about some of the things that I have done in the past and what I'm learning currently, just as a way to share more from my experience. Hopefully, it helps one or two other persons. I'm also
Mm.
working on an interview book for product managers. As you know, this is my industry, this is my space. Um, I have been on different side of the interview table, both being interviewed and interviewing other people, and just putting all of that together. Hopefully before the end of the year, that will see the light. But yes, that those are some of the ways.
So, guys, I'm going to link the newsletter below. Please subscribe to the newsletter and read the content, especially if you want to be serious with your career. If you don't want to be serious, that's fine. But if you want to be serious, please subscribe to the newsletter and get like solid knowledge. So, guys, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And thank you so much for watching till the end of this video. Please don't forget to like and share this video with your friends, family, or people that want to know more about like career mistakes to avoid and things like that. Okay, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.